Hello, welcome to Beachview, our podcast about all sorts of things and stuff.
Yes, and today we're talking about Mayfair Witches, which is a 2023 TV show.
Yeah.
Based on the Anne Rice novels.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to watch this, especially through October. I always like to do the Halloween kind of creepy theme, and what's better than witches for Halloween?
Yeah, it is fitting.
Yeah, so we watched the first 4 episodes of season 1. Obviously it's the only season out right now, of Mayfair Witches, and I was intrigued also because it's, adaptation of Anne Rice's novels, and of course set in New Orleans, and so I always love a good New Orleans setting, nice and creepy and haunted and all that, so I think that's, another thing that drew me in. And then other than that, Alexandra Daddario, I don't know if I say that right, stars in it, and I like her. I've seen her and stuff before, so I thought this would be, a good show to watch.
I have never seen anything she's been in, I don't think.
Oh, she was in White Collar, and I don't know, a few things I've seen. I can't remember.
Yep, well.
Yeah, so I was intrigued. And I was like, let's do this. So we watched the first half of the season, and yeah, what were your thoughts? What were your initial thoughts when you watched the first episode?
Oh, the first episode? Yeah, because the first episode's doing a misdirection thing. The whole thing's kind of based around a mystery of you're not quite sure what exactly is going on. But the first episode is cutting between two perspectives. And you're not sure at first if they're different people or, the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was, kind of lost there at first, but it does reveal it.
Yeah, I was confused. And was it 3 perspectives? Because, was it the first episode that it went, back to, Scotland or something?
Oh, no, I think that starts in the second episode.
Okay. Yeah.
And we don't know what's happening with that yet, so.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? I kept trying to figure out what time period are we in? Because even the quote modern day scenes, the doctor comes up and is all Southern, wearing a seersucker suit and a bow tie. And I'm like, is this supposed to be back in the day, or is this modern? It could be either one,
What, nobody dresses like that these days?
No, I mean, you definitely see seersucker suits for sure and bow ties. But it just seemed a little bit too quaint. Doctor making a house visit wearing a seersucker and a bow tie.
Yeah, but they're rich, so.
Yeah, and that's kind of what
I think that's I
was trying to figure it out. Yeah, because I was like, is this back in the day or is it not? You can't tell because, the house is this mansion that's, an old Southern mansion, and it could be back in the day, it could be now. It was hard for me to tell at first. I was like, what is going on? I was pretty confused, felt a little dumb because I was like, I'm not following. But I got it eventually. Or I think I got it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so initial confusion for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't I don't know if this is a problem with the acting or the writing, or maybe just the direction for the actors, but I don't know. It was all weirdly stilted.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of just kind of awkward lines. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was trying to figure that out too, put my finger on it, so to speak. What is it, the production? Is it just what was it that was kind of just not flowing for me? And I hate to say, I was a little disappointed. I thought it would be better. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't know about this show. So I don't know. Did you have those same thoughts?
Yeah. Well, especially the acting. The first episode, I feel it's the worst in that regard. It gets a little bit better in the next few, but yeah, it was definitely ooh, this is not great.
Yeah. I didn't like who they chose for Lasher. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something about that guy. Yeah, I just didn't. And I have no background. I did not read the novel or anything like that. So I have no background, but I was like, I just don't like that. I know you're not supposed to like that character, but I don't like that character. Like, yeah. The way it's played.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to, like, have, like, kind of a bad boy allure to him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's not like I don't like him because he's a villain. Yes, that's what I was just going to say. It's not that I don't like him because he's a villain. It's that I just don't like the way he plays it. So, I felt like he could have gotten, like, I think of, like, someone still charismatic. Like, I think of Ian Somerhalder in Vampire Diaries, for instance, as like, like kind of the bad boy vampire brother. And like, he's just got that like, kind of cockiness, like bad boy vibe, but still super charming. Like, I think like you could have gotten something a little bit more like that. That's like a little more alluring.
Yeah. I think you hit, like, he's not charming enough. He feels too sleazy.
Yes, he's sleazy, exactly. And I didn't really like that. Yeah, like you're saying. And then like Deidre, the catatonic woman, I didn't love that character. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It was missing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will say I did like the like secret society dealing with like bureaucracy, like dealing with supernatural issues, and like they have the detective who takes his gloves off to see things. That's always a cool note. I think that's fun.
It was giving what's that movie where they're like what's that? It's a movie where like Ben Affleck is like from this organization and they're like follow people around basically. It's like kind of supernatural type of stuff. Anyways, it was giving that, but I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, I like that part of it.
Yeah, I think that's a fun, like, in this sort of genre space to have.
Yeah.
And I thought the actor playing that character did a good job with it. As good, like, he's probably the best actor in this, given some of the, like, lines that they're dealing with.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think, like you said, I don't know if it's, like, the writing, like, whatever. Like, some of the scenes are a bit too, like, scripted, I guess. Well, I mean, all of them are scripted, but you know what I mean? They're kind of like, like, there's kind of this doctor that's, like, basically being misogynistic and, like, those kind of scenes, I feel like, with her are just a little bit too formulaic.
Yeah.
Didn't seem as authentic, and I don't know. It just was missing something. But I feel like by the 4th episode, I was kind of getting it more, and like I like the 4th episode, I think, the best. So maybe like as you get into it, it gets better. But right off the bat, I was like, I thought it was gonna be a little different.
Yeah, I think the plotting's mostly fine. And it's like doing the mystery fine, I guess. But yeah, just like a lot of the, like I keep hitting on, the acting.
Yeah.
I don't know, some of the story writings may be a bit weak, but not the worst thing I've seen. There's there's stuff to get into. It's not boring, I think.
I was trying to remember it. Yeah, I was trying to like compare it to like I said, shows like The Vampire Diaries or like Charmed, like older shows that, they were good shows, but they are a little like goofy, so like, to me, like they get goofy with like, they introduce a bunch of new like creatures and like different, you know what I mean? Like different things. So I was trying to like look at it through that lens where like, okay, this is a supernatural show. Like, it's gonna be a little bit goofy, so just go with it kind of thing. But it's still, like, the first episode, I was very confused, which I know, like you said, that was the point of, like, the mystery, right? To, like, not really know what's going on yet. But I was like, what the heck's happening? Like, it was a little, like, too much for me. But as I got into the second and third, like, I was like, okay, it's making more sense now.
Yeah, I didn't like that a lot of it seemed to be flashbacks. So, like, I don't know. I've developed something of a dislike for flashbacks.
Yeah, and it because it was hard to, like some shows will like have it in like a a different tone, like a sepia tone or whatever, where the color is different in a flashback, so like they're in a flashback. Like this, I felt like didn't have that.
No.
So I was kind of like, wait, are they what? That's why I was so confused. Like, what time period is all this? Because I didn't know if like the stuff with Deidre being catatonic, like, was that back in the day or is that in present day? Like, I had no idea.
Okay.
So
see, I assume that was present, and then we flash back, and I think we first flash back to Rowan.
Yeah.
And then flash back again a second time to well, I guess the Rowan thing's not a flashback, it just presents it as a flashback.
Yeah, that it was a little confusing because like I was trying to figure out like teenage Deidre, like is that supposed to be Rowan when she was younger or is that Deidre? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
That was deliberate, that confusion.
Yeah. And then like we see that they're like more connected supernaturally, but and I guess that was supposed to like lend itself to that, but at first I was just like, who is this? Like, what's going on? And who are these Scottish people? Like, I'm just like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, that hasn't come up yet. I imagine the reason why they're here is comes up in the next 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But also, little discrepancy. I assume this gets addressed, but the flashbacks there take place in Scotland. But at one point, Cyprian, the detective guy, is doing research, and he talks about the Dutch Mayfairs. So
yes, I was confused about that. I was like, that's gotta have some kind of meaning, further meaning to it. Why is he saying that? But maybe we'll get into it more.
I assume that comes up.
Yeah, it must. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the script, so.
Well, it could just be a mistake, but.
It could, yeah, there's always discrepancies in shows, so who knows?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was interesting.
Also, there's, like, some weird time compression that doesn't really fit, in the first episode. Where, like, the gaps between her getting diagnosed, or, like, her cancer coming back, and then her dying, and then, like, 2 weeks after is just, like, really fast without any, sort of indication, and the rest of the show doesn't, like, move at that pace, so.
Yes, yeah, I was like, wow, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it can, but in real life, cancer, but, I was like, okay, like, that's where we're at. So yeah, I agree. Like it didn't fit with the other senses of time.
Yeah, they were just playing like fast and loose with time in that episode. I guess because of the flashback stuff.
Yeah, I think that made it a little more confusing. But I think like you're saying, first episode by itself, I was like, I don't know about this one. Just wasn't what I expected. And then as you get more into it, it's still like flashbacky and, jumping from perspective to perspective and, changing settings and stuff. It's still a little jumpy, I guess, but it begins to, I think, make more sense plot-wise. But the first one, I was like, I hope this gets better.
Yeah. But I guess we'll get into a plot synopsis.
Yeah, well, first let me share this fun fact. So, the place where I work actually last year had gotten approached by a location scout to come do a bunch of scouting to see about filming this show. And so the guy was like telling me about it. He's like, yeah, it's an Anne Rice novel, The Mayfair Witch, which, I've heard of it before. And he's like, they're doing, it's going to be an AMC show. And like he's telling me all about it. So I had to tour like all these people to see if they wanted to use like the film location. And it was kind of cool watching it because like as he's talking to me, he's like, okay, so like we're looking for like, do you have like a tree in a parking lot? Because there's going to be a scene where like these crows like fly from the tree. And so we're looking for a tree and like, kind of giving me like very specific. And he's like, we need a hallway with like this here. And, it was just neat to see. Like, of course, they ended up not using our location. And I even had given them like some other suggestions like around the area because they were filming around here. And it was just cool to see, like, even though it ended up being a waste of my time because I tour a lot. Like, this happens fairly often where I'll have a location scout that wants to come, and then once a location scout comes, then like, the writers or the directors come, and like then they have like a huge group who comes. So it ends up being a waste of my time most of the time, but I'm always just like, yeah, I'll help out if I can. But it was cool watching the scenes because I knew like exactly, like he was describing the scene, like, and to see what they ended up going with was cool. And also another fun fact, so Alexandra Daddario, who was obviously filming down here, she ended up having her wedding in New Orleans, like while they were down here filming, or maybe it was after they were filming. But a friend of ours got to meet her because they bought her her wedding ring from his store, his jewelry store. So it's kind of cool that like there's kind of some connection to this area, obviously, for her.
Yeah.
So that was neat. Anyway, okay, now we can get into plot synopsis.
Yeah, some behind the scenes production stuff there.
Yeah, I always like that. I just think it's kind of cool. Like, I love seeing stuff like in New Orleans, Louisiana, like especially stuff that I recognize in shows and stuff. I just think it's pretty cool. So anyway.
Yep. So we open, like we were saying, on a doctor coming up to the Mayfair house to meet with Deidre, who is catatonic, seemingly. And then, like, he's doing stuff, and then we flash back, seemingly, to Rowan, who is a neurosurgeon, who's, like, adopted, and, like, doesn't know who her parents are, wants to know. And then we flash back again to young Deidre, and at first this is all, like, jumbled up. It's not quite sure, like, if this is all the same person, or if they're different people, or, like, what's happening there. And Deidre's constantly getting in trouble with her aunt, and she also has some, like, weird supernatural guy following her around. You get the sense that that's, like, not supposed to be happening, or that's bad or something. And, yeah, I don't remember the exact chronology of this episode, but during the course of this episode, Rowan learns that her adopted mother her cancer's come back and that she's dying. And also she realizes that she has supernatural powers because she envisions like people she gets mad at having like what is it, like a aneurysm and like an artery bursting or something. And that actually happens to them. And she's really like worried about that, and her adopted mother's like trying to calm her down and like keep her away from like who her family is. And meanwhile, in the flashback, young Deidre goes to a party, ends up sleeping with someone there and getting pregnant, and her aunt's like really restrictive and trying to like keep her away from that. And also, like, she's dealing with the supernatural guy that's following her around. And at the end of this episode, she learns that guy's a shapeshifter that's been like with her mother, and she decides to take on the shapeshifter, bind him, I believe is the term, to her. And she has her kid, and the aunt takes her kid away and gives it to another family member, and the conditions of that arrangement is that she's not to know, like, where she's from.
Yep.
And I believe that's the end of the episode. And then episode 2 opens with Rowan trying to, like, find out this stuff, and because, the weird thing that's been happening to her where she is injuring things.
Hurting people.
Yeah. And then, like, has, like, kind of a breakdown and, like, kills some crows. In the meanwhile, her adopted mother in the last episode had called I forget the name of the agency, but it's some, like, supernatural bureaucracy.
It's like Telemachus or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something. Tamara, I don't know.
Talamasca is what the Wikipedia says.
There you go.
Which, they handle cases like this and try to protect people from the supernatural, presumably. And that is Cyprian Grieve, who's the agent assigned to her case.
Cool name.
And he has the power to touch things and, like, and feel emotions, and also see, like, what happened with these, like, things. And he decides, like, because, her dying mother, adopted mother, makes the call, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna work this case and try to, like, protect her. So he's, like, following her around, trying to, like, figure out what's going on with her. In the meantime, she, like, catches on to this, and is like, hey, why is this weird guy following me? And in the meantime, the weird supernatural guy named Lasher is like talking to Deidre, her mother, and he's like, hey, I found her. We're gonna like get her now. And she also comes out of her catatonic state.
Yeah, like Lasher kind of guides her out of it. Like, he's like, use the words of your mother.
Yeah. But Rowan has like a breakdown, goes and sleeps on the beach. She's in California at this point. The Mayfairs live in New Orleans. But then she encounters Cyprian. She's like, who are you? What are you doing? And he's like, let me explain. And then he like touches her and has like an attack and passes out. And she steals his phone and is like looking through it and sees all his pictures. And he's like, wait, hold on. Who is this? Where is this? You know, like figures out where she's from. And it's in New Orleans. She's like, okay, well, I gotta go to New Orleans to figure out about this. Meanwhile, Deidre's cooking up plans for something, escaping.
Yeah, with the help of the doctor. So it's a new doctor, and he's like, I'm not going to give you the shot that was possibly keeping her in a catatonic state.
Yep.
So he's like, let's see what happens without it. And so with Lasher's coaxing, she like comes out of that and is making plans to like escape from the aunts that she lives with.
Yeah, and so everybody ends up there's also Cortland, the uncle, who is seemingly allied with against the aunt, but he's also like very sinister. Like you get the sense that he's working plans.
Yeah, because he chose like the boy who young Deidre like slept with at a party. He like was like, it was like he was paying him to seduce her.
Yeah, and also that guy died. So
yeah.
But yeah, so then they all end up in a hotel in New Orleans, all the principal players, and Rowan meets her mom at the elevator with her throat slit. So
yeah.
And that's the end of the episode.
So, let me ask, was she aware that that was her mom?
Yeah, I think so. I think she said it's you or something.
Okay.
I mean, they look really similar, so...
I wasn't sure, like, at that point if she, like, knew that was her mom or just, like, a random woman in an elevator with a throat slit.
Yeah, I think she knew it was her mom, and she, she had seen the picture of her from when she was younger, so...
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. Forgot about that.
Alright, so the next episode opens with the... it seems like both Cortland and the aunt, I don't remember her name.
Carlotta.
Yeah, are trying to make plans on Rowan, but she ends up going with Cyprian to his safe house, where he's like, as long as you stay here, you'll be fine. Then a fire starts, and she leaves the building, and goes to a funeral procession, drinks a weird drink, and meets Lasher.
Yeah, so it's a jazz funeral, a New Orleans jazz funeral. So it's like at night, and it's like, a procession with like dancing and second lining and all that. So interesting.
Yeah, but she drinks a strange drink and gets I don't know what to call it. Off kilter. She gets
buzzed.
Yeah.
In a supernatural way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the way they present it does not seem like how most shows shoot alcohol, but
no, it was definitely like
yeah,
it was definitely like a magic, like like some kind of magic effect on her.
Yeah, but she's also like seeing the dead, and like Lasher is there, like trying to seduce her. Which, by the way, this dialogue between them was really awkwardly written. Just like
yeah,
it's just like God, that it's like cringing.
I know. It really was cringy. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. So Lasher's trying to like reel her in.
Yep. But it doesn't end up working, and she ends up going back and speaking to what's-his-face, Cyprian, and they're like, hey, this weird thing's happening. Meanwhile, Cyprian's on the case, like, searching stuff around, and he's also like, there's some weird stuff happening around here.
Yeah.
Like, the location of the elevator had been, wiped, so he couldn't see anything with his powers.
Yeah.
And they plan on holding a funeral for Deidre. Yes, to lure Rowan out, basically, because her aunt, like, has some sort of design for her. And everybody involved everybody involved in the story seems like they're kind of out for their own gain, and they all kind of suck.
Yeah, you're like, what's the angle here? Like, what's with the ants? Like, and one, basically, I don't even know that they name the other ant.
Yeah.
And she's just, like, there. Yeah. Like, supporting character.
But, Lasher's also, like, trying to get to her. Also, not entirely sure what his deal is yet, but,
Yeah, and it seems like he's, like, helping, or he was, like, helping Deidre to, like, bring her daughter back to her.
Yeah.
And Deidre's, like, bought into Lasher. And the ants, like, are totally against Lasher.
Yeah, I think we also learned that, like, this is, like, a generational thing. Like, he gets passed down from generation to generation. I think we learned that in this episode, but I'm not sure. But yeah, he definitely seems, like, bad news.
Yeah.
And... oh yeah, I think one of these episodes, 2 or 3, is when we get introduced to the, like, Scottish scenes. Yeah. Which are not relevant up to this point, but, like, basically she's a, midwife, and she does basic herb gathering and, like, healing stuff.
Yeah.
And, was it this episode or the next where her, like, teacher dies?
Ooh. I don't remember. I think it's the next episode.
Yeah, these are just randomly thrown in there and are not, like, as of what we've watched up to, relevant yet. But, at some point her teacher dies, and she's, like, sad about it, and, she goes to the funeral, and they're, like, preacher's like, don't be sad, she's in heaven, but then she goes to, like, a weird pagan funeral or something like that.
Yeah, like, she gets, like, invited to come mourn in their own way or something, and, yeah, it's like a pagan funeral type of thing at night.
I don't know enough about, Scotland in this period to know if any of this stuff is historically accurate, but...
like, a little confused.
Yeah, also, again, not sure why this is relevant yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's happening in the background of these episodes. I don't remember where episode 3 ends. I don't believe she goes to the house yet. That's all episode 4 stuff.
I think so.
But yeah, so episode 4, they're preparing to go to the funeral, and they go to the funeral. Cyprian's there with her at first, but then, like, they find the guy who killed Deidre, and he had been possessed by Lasher. So, and, there's just suspicious stuff happening around that case on Cyprian's end. And Deidre, in the meanwhile, gets invited to the funeral and then to the house, back to the house, and she learns stuff about the family, like that there's 12 in a line, or that she's like the 13th in line of the 12 Mayfair women who all pass their, like, estate down. And also at some point, I don't remember if this is this episode or not, but Cortland says to Lasher that this is the 13th child, so seemingly their plan was to, like, basically use Deidre to have a child, so because something special about the 13th one, and she was the 12th.
Yeah.
And he's in on it with Lasher for his own gain, seemingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go there, they're all, like, kind of, the family's kind of weird, because they were told she was dead. And she shows up at a funeral, and, they're also all, like, seemingly trying to work their own designs on her, and she's not quite sure, like, people aren't being straight with her, so she's not quite sure everything that's happening.
And meanwhile, Aunt Carlotta, like, basically kills the
maid,
like, housemaid, by making her wear the skeleton key necklace that, like, binded Deidre to Lasher, and, like, locks her in the basement. Yeah. And she ends up basically, like, I guess being possessed and killing herself, but that was a part that I was like, gross. Yeah,
I think that was unnecessary, but
Yeah,
but Deidre's at the house, like, trying to snoop around and stuff. There's a really, like, bluntly obvious scene where Carlotta gives her a rosary, and she finds the like, skeleton key that, like, all the Mayfair women had in their portraits, and that's, like, the symbol of, like, Lasher. And she drops the rosary on the ground for the skeleton key, and it's just, like, really obvious symbolism that they hit on, like, twice. Yeah. Because then Carlotta comes and looks at it. I just thought that was a really funny moment. But, yeah, and then, so, she does that. She ends up eating dinner. I thought she was gonna poison her, because, like, the vibes of that dinner were rancid.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. Like, what if she's gonna poison her and make her go to sleep or something?
Yeah, I was like, she's poisoned. It's like, why are you staying for dinner? This woman's clearly...
Yeah, like, get out of there.
Not great, but anyway, she ends up locking the door and setting the house on fire after going on a rant about how her mother sucked. And in the meantime, Cyprian's, like, on the case, but then he gets a text from her who had, like, sent a picture of, like, hey, this is, look at this weird thing I found in my family estate.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait a minute, that's the, thing with Lasher, and he runs over there and, tries to, like, gets there just in time as the, building's being burned, but he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
Because, Carlotta's trying to stab Rowan. She ends up stabbing Cyprian instead, and also Lasher's there, and he's like, ha ha ha, I've won already.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yep, and that is how it ends there. We're still not, like, still quite a bit of mystery up in the air, like what exactly Cortland stands to gain from this, what exactly, like, the nature of their relationship is. I'm sure, like, the Scotland thing will get in, like, the beginning of the relationship.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
real weird.
Also, like, what Rowan's gonna end up doing.
Yeah, and what is the fate of Cyprian?
Yeah, and also, yeah, like that he's investigating this, and I'm sure that, like, comes up. There's something suspicious on his end too.
Yeah,
that he's, like, looking into.
Yeah, so there's a lot of mystery still. We don't know if, like, Cortland seems like, the anti-Carlotta, in that, like, he's on their side, but then we also, like you said, seems like he's a little bit two-faced. And then, like, Deidre apparently, like, loves Lasher, but everybody else is like, Lasher's evil. And so you're like, will Rowan find the allure of Lasher?
And, they're apparently witches, and seemingly Lasher's the source of that power?
Yeah.
But maybe he's not, and maybe he just, like, they get powers like a side effect of being, like, controlled by the, weird, like, supernatural shape-shifting thing.
Yeah. And then there was that little side thing with, like, wasn't it the coroner guy who was then seen, like, taking pictures from afar?
Yes.
Was it the same dude?
I think it was. But yeah, he hands Cyprian, like, some sort of flyer for something.
Yeah, it's like he's like a witch groupie.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll come back up.
Yeah, and then he's seen, like, taking photos, like, during the funeral and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's that plot line? So there's a lot going on here.
Yeah. A lot still unanswered.
Yeah, and I feel like, even though the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, what is going on? Like, maybe by the end of the season, I'll be like, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, but, yeah, I don't know. Again, like you said, like, they could have picked, like, a better actor to play Lasher. I think. Also, Lasher, like, I'm sure that's from the books, but, like, that's not a good name.
No, I know. Actually, yeah, Travis was watching it with me, and he's like, it's a terrible name.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's from the books.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I like the creepy vibes of it, but it is definitely... you gotta pay attention when you're watching it, because you're like, wait, where are we now? Who's doing what now?
I'm always paying attention when I'm watching things.
Well, I tend to, like, like I had it on the other day when I was working.
Yeah,
just to have, like, some background on. And I was
that.
Like, wait, what? I had to go, like, rewind it and like, watch a scene again, because I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, also not quite sure what, like, Deidre was trying to do, or if that comes back up.
Yeah, I don't know. And, I will say I do like Carlotta. Like, I like her character and the actress who plays her. I think she does a good job with that. Playing, like, the, controlling aunt who's, like, basically a nun, but not really. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because Deidre's basically just like a pawn in all of this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not quite sure what her plan was, other than, like, to meet her daughter. But she seemed like she had some ideas of what was going to happen after that, but who knows. And also, Lasher killed her, so, like, I guess that was his plan all along?
Yeah, like just to use her as a vessel to get to the 13th?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Like, I'm sure that part will be explained, but yeah.
Yeah, and then they had this like weird thing where like Rowan was like on the plane and like feeling the things that Deidre was
really
experiencing. Weird. I was like, I don't know about this. So, thought that was a little off, but
yeah.
But okay. Yeah. So some interesting stuff here, and we'll see like if it all comes together nicely by the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine the acting will still be pretty stilted.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like what happened there, but something like, went weird in the production. But they might draw the story together in a satisfying way.
Same feeling. I was like, is it the editing, the production? You know what I mean? Like I was trying to. Is it just the acting?
Right.
Like is it just the story itself? Like I was trying to figure out like what's not working great here.
I think it's got to be like the writing and maybe like some of the direction, but
yeah,
I don't know.
But it did get picked up for season 2, so
yeah. But there's definitely some moments where Rowan's like just kind of like, I don't know. I guess the note she was given was like panicky, but like I don't think it fully works for like some of the scenes she's in.
Yeah.
Like especially that first episode. Like I get like they're trying to like get like a mix of like grief and anger because her mom's dying and she's like dealing with these like weird assholes in her life.
Yeah.
And that's why she gets mad enough to attack them, but her like delivery on there comes across more as like panicky than like aggrieved and then like upset.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I've seen her in some other things, and she does have that like kind of shaky voice. Like I don't know if it's just like a naturally
maybe
cadence,
yeah,
like a natural cadence of her voice. But like I've seen that before with her. So I was like, is that just her acting, or is like that just how she normally talks? Like, so I don't know if that plays into it or not. But I mean, like I do like her character. You're supposed to, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know, something just doesn't quite fit super well together in this show.
Yeah. But again, I do like the concept behind the weird bureaucratic secret society dealing with supernatural matters that has the weird like detective guy. Like that's fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is another element of like supernatural that I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, and we're well known for liking detective stuff, so.
Exactly.
But yeah, so.
Yeah. I mean, I'm eager to watch the rest of it. Not because it's like a particularly amazing show, but because I just like want to see how it all comes together and if it does get a little bit better. But I felt like even from episode 1 to episode 4, I felt like there was an improvement. And maybe it's just because I was following it better.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a bit improved from 1 to 4, but yeah. They stick the landing, I could see this being a fine show, but yeah, there is a lot of just parts that don't quite work, a lot of unevenness, so.
Totally
I don't know.
agree.
We'll see. Again, like I said, it was never boring at any point, so.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, do you have anything else to add?
Nope. I'll take us out.
All right.
All right. That's been Beachview. Thanks for listening and tune in next time. Bye.
Bye.